Good morning and Merry Christmas Eve. This is the Closers Cafe, December 23rd, Christmas Eve. We've got a great book that we've been reading to our kids in the house called "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." So "'twas the morning before Christmas." We have a special guest. I have a special guest that is going to be joining here in a few minutes to share in person, IRL, what he shared with me by text on Friday. So his name is William. He'll be hopping on here momentarily. He sent me this text out of the blue on Friday. It was completely unexpected, and it was great to receive. I love getting stuff like this. He sent me this, and I've been sharing this as well. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to share his text message once he hops on. So the Closers Cafe has been a little sporadic lately. Holidays, our oldest is home, etc. This will be likely, I don't know, we may have a couple additional cafes before the end of the year, but certainly not tomorrow or the next day or Friday. So the next one potentially next week. And however, that said, later this morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, you can join me for a free live workshop. 3 simple steps, 1 closing a week every week. You can grab your spot at onedealaweek.com, the number 1dealaweek.com. Spencer, my man, let's go. He says, "Good morning, Josh. I have 2 closings today." That is a beautiful thing. I have one at noon, but I'll be on the workshop. The workshop was scheduled before the closing got moved to noon today. So I'm all good there. Our settlement company will handle it. My client, it's the 3rd settlement I have with him in the last or since November. And he is a perfect example of the simple 3-step blueprint that I am sharing today. I acquired that client. His name is Steve, following the simple 3-step blueprint that I am sharing later today. onedealaweek.com. Spencer says awesome. Spencer, feel free to share in the comments where those closings came from. In other words, was it well, I'll use the analogy from the workshop. Was it from being a shepherd, a farmer, or a fisher, or a hunter? Where did those closings come from? It's always nice to close out the year on a high note, for sure. And what I'll share with you later will help you get the ball rolling here to wrap out or to close out 2025 and really just set yourself up for massive success in 2026. So really excited to share that. I'm sure William is going to be hopping on any minute now. It's been a while since we've had one of these. So Spencer, hunting activities. Let's go, hunter activities. Right on, Spencer. Love it. It's been a while since we had one of these. So if anyone else has a win that they want to share, we're all ears here, and I would love to get your feedback on that. And then if anybody has anything that they're struggling with, need help with, you can drop that in the comment as well. I'm going to drop a link to the live workshop. And if you're seeing this after the fact, and you go to the link that I will include here, you will either get the opportunity to register for the next live version, or be able, or have access to the most recent recording or replay. So you can check that out. And let me get that in the chat. And we should have William here any minute. I think I don't know if he had an appointment, sales meeting, something along those lines. So drop that link in the chat for those who aren't already registered and want to join me for the free workshop. So let me tee this up. let me tee this up here, and I'm going to hope that that William pops on any minute. So this is the text message that William sent me on Friday at 1:04 Eastern. I was actually in a Zoom mastermind where I was talking about our new tool, our AI and data-driven tool to help agents consistently close more deals. And William sent me this text message. Hey, Josh, I'm an agent in the North Atlanta area, and I followed your 3-step plan for literally 2 days. And I just sent in an offer for a major investor yesterday on a property and have made more connections with investors and other agents than I have in the last 6 months. That's pretty cool. Just wanted to share that and encourage you that it's definitely working for me and others. Thank you for the system, and give me a call sometime. I'd love to share the story. So I figured, why not have him just share the story with me? Let's share the story with all of you. So as soon as William is wrapped up and able to hop on here, we're going to get into and just explore more details of the story, and we'll see where he found the deal, which is step one. We'll talk about what type of investor he was able to find using the bait, which is the deal from step one, and then how he put the offer together and all of that as well. Just as soon as William is able to hop on. Here he is. Perfect timing, my man.
There we go.
Good morning. I was literally just sharing the text message you sent, and I was hoping we could unpack here. And I don't want to take too much of your time this morning, but I thought it'd be fun to hear and give you the opportunity to share your story in a little more detail. I know we chatted a little bit on Saturday, but why don't you start with this, William? Introduce yourself and let everyone know what market areas you service, so maybe we can get some referrals coming your way as well.
Yeah. Hey everybody, I'm William Knight. I'm in the North Atlanta area. I serve around Lake Lanier, the Lake Market, and some luxury homes around here. And I dip down into Alpharetta and Beaufort and those areas. And yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Josh.
Yeah, of course. Just out of my own curiosity, how long have you been in the business?
I'm very new. I got my license this past year, and I got it back in April. And so I'm about 8 months in.
Okay.
So learning a lot,
right on.
Trying some systems, and found yours. So yeah.
Beautiful. Very cool. So I guess my first question is, how did you find me and the system that I've been talking about?
So it goes to kind of how I've found real estate. It's all been through my dad and my broker partner. Okay. He's been in the business for 25 years. Okay. And so he welcomed me with open arms, and I got to give a lot of credit to him, but he found you about 2 weeks ago, probably. Okay. And so he's been sending me your stuff and sending me these the Zooms and the replays of the Zooms to watch, and then like the 13 or more ways to find deals and all these things. So I've been researching and following you for not even a week and a half, really.
That's wild. Because I didn't even get that part of the story when we talked the other day. I had no idea that it's that little amount of time. That is crazy. Very cool.
It's been pretty new, but he introduced me to you. And I got to give him the credit. So
okay, well, kudos. Well, I'm gonna have to meet him at some point. I would love to connect with him as well. That
for sure. I wish I could have had him on here, but
and did you? I don't know if you said the name of the brokerage.
It's North Realty, Georgia.
North Realty, Georgia. And your dad is the managing broker? Is he the...
He's a broker there. He's not the managing broker.
Okay, gotcha. Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. All right. So I'm curious, what like, what was the thing that got you from information, like intake mode, to actually taking action? Because I've been doing this kind of stuff for quite a while. I've been in the business for quite a while. And I know that that can be a disconnect for people where it's like information, but nothing will happen unless you do something or take action. And clearly you did in a very short period of time. Do you recall, like, was there something specific? Was it an aha? Was it just like, the ability to suspend any disbelief? Like what got you from info to action?
Yeah, so that's been that disconnect, which I think I've made that mistake in the past where I just gather all the information and then I get information overload.
Yep.
And, information paralysis, and I don't do anything with it. And so I've tried to learn to not make that mistake. So with other things, I just try and throw myself into it, even with sometimes when I don't have enough knowledge and I should be a little more well learned on the subject. But so for this, I did some research, and then the real thing that set me off was how you described calling the agents first. And just that's like, if that's your first thing in the morning, you get up and you're calling at 9 a.m. and you're finding those deals. That's like an easy intro to your work day. Because like you say, it's a lot easier to talk to people who want to, they want to sell the house. They want to give you the details.
Totally.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of things that you unpacked there. Number one, I'll hit them in reverse order. So for those of you that don't know, one of the things that the 3-step process is we find a deal, we use the deal as bait to find buyers, and then we either make an offer on that deal or we go and find off-market deals for the person that we found in step 2. And so step 1 is finding a deal. The easiest place to start is on market. The sellers have already raised their hand and said, I want to sell this property, and the listing agents are going to welcome your phone call. If they've got a property that they've been trying to sell and it hasn't sold, it's been on the market for 30, 60, 90 days, whatever, it went from something where they thought they were getting paid to now they're wondering if they were ever get paid. And so when you call about that property, they're going to welcome your call. It's going to be an easy conversation. I have a structure and a format of questions to even ask on the call, but it's really not that hard. Just ask questions and shut up, because they'll talk and they'll give you the deals. And so it's like going to the gym and starting with a warm-up, right? The hardest step is getting to the gym. The next is like to get started with the workout. And then by the end, you're like, wow, that was great, right? But we got to actually get in motion. And that is a low friction way to get to get some reps and get conversations going as well. Man, there was another thing in there with the process that I wanted to double back on, but maybe it'll come back to me. You mentioned the doc that I have, which anyone, if you want that Google Doc with the 13 or more ways, I don't know what's in there. It's like 15 or something like that. You can drop a comment below or DM me or text me, or when you join me on the webinar, we give you a copy there as well. Do you remember for this particular, the offer that the property that you ended up offering? I guess a couple of questions. Do you remember which of those strategies you used to find the deal? And then let's start with that. Do you remember that from the Google Doc? Which strategy?
I believe that was just off MLS, and it was I was just looking for a 3-2 with an under 250,000, and I just put in the criteria. It was on market, and I wanted something that had been on market for, like you said, over 60, 90 days. That one had been on for 185, something like that. So
perfect. So in the Google Doc, I think like the first 5 or 6 strategies are related to directly in your MLS and just getting creative with different ways to filter. William was just playing around. That's the easiest way. Like just go to your MLS. Most of you listening have MLS access. Start there. There are some like shortcuts and other strategies if you're struggling. Live today, later, I'm going to demonstrate. I'll find a deal in some random attendee's market using some of the portals and other strategies in there because I won't have direct MLS access. But if you have the MLS, just start there. So that's great. I did remember what I was going to say. And then we're going to get back on topic. Anyone will learn infinitely more by actually implementing than you will by continuing to consume information. And this is such a simple idea, but you can read 10 books on how to sell more real estate. You will learn way more from putting in 10 weeks of actually trying to sell real estate, right? So like information is enough to create the spark, but the only way to then make the connections in your own market and for your personality, et cetera, is to actually take action. So I just share that as a way to say kudos to you for not just like going down the information rabbit hole and just like looking for more. You found something that clearly seemed to resonate and just took action. So good on you. So you use the MLS to find the deal, and then how did you find the buyer? Or how did you use that deal as bait to find buyers or potential buyers?
Yeah, so I haven't, at that point, I wasn't using Lead Deck yet.
Okay.
And so I contacted that agent, got some more information, and we actually went and visited that property.
Right on.
Just to take a look at it, which ended up being a good thing because I got some more information that the agents didn't even know. It had been on the market for 200 days, and then mold had been growing in it, some bad stuff. But anyways, I posted it on some Facebook groups, actually, in my area, investor groups, cash buyer groups, and then had just a surplus of investors contact me. And one of them called me up and said he wanted to tour it that day. And so we went out, put down an offer, ended up coming in a little too low for the sellers. But yeah, I mean, the process worked that quickly.
So a couple of things to unpack there. Number one, I love the fact that you went and looked at the deal in person. If you're pitching or using an on-market deal as bait, having insider information, which might come from a phone call, but might, like in your case, you might get even more insider information by actually going and seeing the property. And let's face it, there's like very little downside to you going and previewing the property. That way, when you do have someone like you had, and it sounds like you had multiple people coming to you wanting information, you can speak with firsthand knowledge because you've seen it, right? One way or another, though, you have to get insider information, right? So when you're reaching out to the listing agent, what you're trying to uncover is details or information that whether it's a retail buyer or an investor buyer will not be able to find on their own on Zillow or Realtor.com or Redfin and the like, okay? Number two thing that I wanted to emphasize there is William used one of our two strategies in step 2. One is a shotgun approach and one is a rifle approach. He used the shotgun approach, which is to post. One way is to post on local Facebook groups. William's in a pretty densely populated area, so that gets a lot of reach, and therefore he got a lot of responses. He's in an area that's way more densely populated. When I use that strategy in my market, more the shotgun approach, sometimes I get 3, 5. I think the most I've ever gotten from a post like that was maybe 10 or 12. Sometimes it's crickets. Sometimes it's none at all. So it works, and it's better than doing nothing. But there are other ways that you can multiply the results, or a more rifle approach, which you mentioned Lead Deck, and so I appreciate that. That investor buyer, you went and showed the property and wrote an offer. You haven't been able to come to terms. Has that property gone under contract yet?
No.
So, and maybe you're already doing this, but I would call that listing agent every Monday or Tuesday and say, hey, my guy's still here, because I have several deals that when you're that, especially on properties that have been tough to sell, eventually they give in, even when they're bank owned. I literally have one that we just went under contract on Friday. We first made an offer to this bank November 11th with a buyer that I found using Lead Deck, using the exact process. I found a deal to use as bait. I found Ben. He didn't like that initial deal. Actually, he looked at 2 deals, but his offers, we made verbal offers, and they were just like way too low. They were more retail properties. And eventually I found this bank-owned property. Again, that's like one of the strategies in the document. I found this bank-owned property. It was perfect for Ben. It's in the area that he wants. It's the type of property he loves. And it had been sitting there for a while. And we submitted offers either 4 or 5 times officially. And the bank, like the first time they countered, and then we countered, and then they countered, and then the second time they just said no, and then the next time they said they countered even higher than the first counter of the first one, and I was like, all right, we're playing cat and mouse here. And eventually they gave in, and we got it $5,000 less than what his max offer was, or at least that he had disclosed to me. So persistence wins, right? And you know, and sometimes it's easy, right? Like it's not all like that. Have you, or what have you done, if anything, with to try and uncover other opportunities for that particular investor that made the offer?
In terms of finding out more about that property and moving forward with that deal?
Have you done the work to identify any other on-market or off-market potential deals for that client, or any others that may have come from the the inbound leads that you generated by using that bait?
Yeah. So as far as that particular investor, I added him to, I basically have just made a massive list of investors that I'm now sending out properties to regularly. And that one in particular, I've got just his buy box, and I've got a search for him in the MLS, and I've already sent him some more properties. And I've got other people who are still contacting me from that same Facebook post about the original property. The deal with that property is it's just a interesting situation with the agents. They're not really invested in the property that much, and they don't really. They're just waiting for their number to be bought
which is crazy, but whatever. That's a topic for another day. So a couple more questions, and because I don't want to take too much of your time here, and we've got the workshop in less than 90 minutes now. But I guess I would ask, how did you find the conversations with the investor buyers? In other words, what did that sound like? Was it hard? Was it, anything that might help, folks who are thinking about following this process, or maybe already are?
I would say the key, as soon as they contacted me, and I'm sure through Lead Deck, you have their numbers. The key, I would say, is to get them on the phone and actually have a conversation. Because they were all contacting me and they just wanted the info on that one listing.
Right.
What we want and what I wanted was their buy box and what they're looking for overall, because I was pretty sure that deal wasn't going to be the best fit. And like you say, don't get attached to one deal and think, that's going to be the one. I was sure that 95% sure no one was going to buy that one. I just wanted to create conversations and opportunities through that to create relationships to find them other deals.
Totally. Conversations, right? It's the number one KPI. If you want to close more deals, there's very little getting around it. It doesn't always have to be a phone conversation, but it has to be some kind of conversation. I think getting them on the phone, getting investors on the phone, generally speaking, is easier than the typical retail buyer or seller. They're more ready, willing, and able to have those conversations. And also, I've done deals with people that most of the communication happened by text or by DM. Right. So you can still communicate value and ask good questions and get good information, because there is a certain, percentage of the population that they just don't like the phone. They just don't want to, or meaning like talking on the phone. They'll have a conversation, but they just don't like that for whatever reason. Right. Okay. So you've not even been licensed a year. You are taking action. It sounds like you're making progress and you're starting to build, you're starting to build an asset. So you've got this list that you're building and growing, which is all great. Where do you go from here? What is your plan or goal or target for 2026?
My goal as far as working with the investors would be to continue to build that list. And then really hound out the off market, all those deals, find those, send them to them regularly, and just follow up. And then, I mean, we have a lot of goals for 2026. I could go on for days about that, but yeah,
Well,
to
I
just
guess let me ask one direct one, which is I think you have some sense around, like for transactions. What's your transaction goal for 2026? You personally?
my goal it would be to do 2 a month, so
Yeah.
around 24 for the year.
I just from this conversation and what you've got going on, I think it would be a major upset if that didn't happen. And it may you may realize after Q1 that it might make sense to up that number. And it may not too, because each person's goals and businesses are unique, and I'm not one that thinks that everybody has to be trying to do a deal a week or 2 deals a week or 100 a year or whatever. But the beautiful thing about this system and our business is you can focus on effective, efficient work and be paid very nicely without having to put in an endless amount of hours. Now, there are lots of people out there who are doing that, but it's because they're chasing every shiny object, and they're trying to do be all things to all people, and do too many things all at the same time. So, William, this was great. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your story, and being willing. I don't know if you've ever done anything like this before, but I know that can be uncomfortable for some folks as well. So I appreciate you leaning into that as well. Is there anything else that would be good, powerful or interesting to share with anybody who's checking this out either live or after the fact?
I think to just stay consistent and disciplined. That is the key to really anything. Consistency.
Yep.
You could stick with it for 1 week and maybe get one deal out of it. That'd be awesome. But then never touch it again, and it never had a real impact on you or anyone else. So stay consistent, be resilient, and something will come your way.
Yeah. So systems and habits are greater than goals and activity or even motivation, right? So creating the systems and the habits that will naturally yield the results or the target that you're after. I've found that is the best way to get, whether it's a business goal, a financial goal, a fitness goal, or whatever. Building systems and habits is drastically increases the likelihood of success. William, this was great. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to see how things work and roll out for you here in 2026. If you have questions, if you get stuck, if you need help with anything, let me know. And I would love to. I'd love to connect with your dad as well. I'm grateful that he introduced you to what we're doing here. And once again, I said this to you in my initial reply to your text. Kudos for taking action, because life rewards the action takers, and especially when it comes to real estate, money follows speed and time kills all deals. So the faster you implement, the more likely good stuff is to happen. And you can't steer a parked car, right? You got to get in motion, and then you can create some direction. But there's nothing really to do with the thing sitting there. So bravo, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and hopefully we'll be chatting a good deal in the future. And if you have anybody who is looking to buy, sell, or invest in the North Atlanta, Lake Lanier, Alpharetta, and the surrounding areas, send them William's way as well.
100%. Thank you, Josh. Thanks for having me, and thank you for being so genuine and just transparent about what you're doing on here. I don't see a lot of people like that, and that's why I sent that text. I wanted to encourage you. So thank you for having me. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thanks, William. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. See ya.